Welcome to the Motormouth YouTube channel. I'm Zach.
I'm Andrea.
And we do full-length car reviews each and every week, and halfway through, we stop for a segment called Questions, Coffee, and Cars. You liked it, so we spun it off. We're number 120. How do you get a question in?
Follow along on Instagram at Motormouth_Andrea. Every Sunday morning, I put a post out on Instagram asking for questions. Once we gather them, the post is deleted and we start the show.
Time now for Questions, Coffee, and Cars.
Your questions from Instagram.
Would you say Kia is getting more reliable with their new cars coming out 2021 to 2025? Telling people I'm getting a Kia and I get looks. He's got the googly eyes here.
The thing is that if you look at the 3-year dependability study, we're in 2024, so these are actually exactly what you're talking about. 2021 cars. Kia is right near the top. How high are they up on the dependability study?
Well, in 2024, they dropped just a little bit.
But they're still near the top.
They're still good. They're above average. They're in 8th spot. Mm-hmm. And Consumer Reports has them in 10th spot. And guess what is the most reliable Kia according to Consumer Reports? Can you think of one?
Kia.
I'm not really that surprised about it.
Stinger?
No. The Sportage plug-in hybrid with a score of 83 out of 100.
Whew, thank God, Andrea, because your mom has the Hyundai version of that car.
I know, and no
we dodged
issues.
That one. The last thing we need is your mom on speed dial. Andrea, there's something wrong with my car.
I know, and the least reliable, according to Consumer Reports, is the Sorento gas model.
Sorento?
Mm-hmm. Gas model, not the hybrid and the plug-in hybrid.
But that also includes the 2.5 turbo. I wonder if that affects it.
I think so too, or possibly the transmission. I'm not sure.
Yes, it's got the wet dual clutch.
I didn't get into the details, but it was at the bottom. So yeah, definite improvements with Kia. Look, we certainly wouldn't have recommended a Hyundai to my mom if we didn't have confidence in the brand.
Yeah, I think they have had issues. The Hyundai group has had engine failures, engines needing replaced, fires, transmission issues. Mm-hmm. Even the new Santa Fe has had issues. I think a lot of that is in their rearview mirror, but they're heading in the right direction.
Mm-hmm. Thanks for all you do. Curious if dealership proximity plays a role in your vehicle choice. For example, I prefer the Telluride Palisade slightly over the Traverse. However, we do not have a Kia or Hyundai dealer nearby, but do have a local Chevy dealer. How much should this factor into a decision when buying new? If buying used, would it play any role at all? It's a big deal for me.
Well, I think it's one of the reasons why the domestic 3, Chevy, General Motors, Stellantis, and Ford do have such strong sales, because they're in a lot of those small towns.
Totally. And I just think if you have any problems with your vehicle and you have to drive, let's say 2 hours or even an hour to a dealership, and you have to leave your car there and you've got to go back and forth, I just don't want to deal with that. So I like to have a dealership nearby. Even our Volkswagen that we just bought, the dealership isn't even that far from our house. Yeah. It's absolutely wonderful.
So the second part of it is buying used. Okay, so once the car's 3 or 4 years old, and well, in the case of a Hyundai or Kia, it's 5 years. Once it's out of warranty, you can hopefully find a local mechanic that can work on the car. If it's nothing like diagnostic stuff, because you need to plug the car in. But even with the new Snap-on tools, they can do that. I would suggest that a used car, you could go out of brand and find something. But you know what? There's so many products to choose from General Motors if you wanted to pick one.
And we have a Porsche. We don't go to the Porsche dealership to get repairs.
Lewis might be watching this. Actually,
you
know what, Andrea?
We do for some things.
Actually,
we do for some things.
Our other Cayenne is at the Porsche dealer right now.
It is. It's having some issues. Love your show and love your coordinated outfits during episode 118. Yeah, we didn't even plan it, but we coordinated.
Total fluke.
I currently drive a 2012 Ford Focus SEL, and I'm in the market for a new car. I was set on a used 2023 Lexus NX, but after watching your 2025 UX review, I have now put that one on the table. I have looked at prices online and they seem to be comparable, but I'm wondering what your thoughts are. Should I go for used or should I buy brand new? A second question, if I do go with the NX, is there a difference between the 250 and 350 and what would you recommend?
Can I answer the last one first?
Yeah, go for it.
The 250 and 350 is a huge difference. Okay, so the 250 is basically the RAV4, okay? The RAV4 engine. So you've got a 4-banger under the hood, and you've got the 8-speed automatic transmission, and it is wrapped in a Lexus, for sound insulation. It's going to be better than that. But then if you get the 350, you've got the 2.4-liter turbo. Now we're talking, it's going to be much more fun to drive. All right, you know my answer about the UX versus the NX. Which one I'm going to pick?
Well, the thing about the UX is it doesn't work for everybody. If you are a single person or you're only taking a passenger with you in the front passenger seat, it's not a big deal. But if you want to use the rear seat a lot, then you're going to find that it's just not going to fit the needs of larger people and car seats and things like that. So I think that the NX is a better buy for you. He also said he's going to run it into the ground. So it's not like he's going to change this out. So, your life may change along the way, and you may want a larger rear seat. Can I just add one thing?
There's one thing I got to say. I got to say one thing too. Go ahead.
The difference in price between the NX 250 and then the NX 350 base model is only about $3,500 Canadian. I mean, it's really not that much more. And frankly, I think that you get a better powertrain, more powerful.
Oh, you led right into my point, Andrea, powertrain. Okay, so the UX, because, if you just watched our video we did, I'm not a huge fan because of the lack of space.
Yeah.
But for you seem like you're open to it because you maybe just don't need the extra space.
And it's a hybrid.
That's what I was going to say, is you're now working with a hybrid system that just sips fuel. The fuel economy on that UX is incredible. It's the latest 5th generation hybrid system. And the most reliable, you're going to drive it into the ground, the most reliable vehicles that are sold are hybrids, and mostly, that's Toyota and Lexus hybrids. So if you're going to buy and hold, the UX is going to be like a really safe choice, which leads me into the NX. Just get the 350h. Get the hybrid. If you're going to shop UX, then shop hybrid in the NX.
He did write that in, but
you didn't read it.
No, because I've cut it off. It was so long.
Okay.
But originally, he did say something like, "I know you guys are going to recommend the 350 hybrid, but he is going to drive it into the ground," and so. I guess he's not that concerned. The thing about
some people think that the hybrids aren't reliable, and the absolute opposite is true. They're the most reliable.
For sure. And the NX hybrid starts at just under $60,000, so it does get up in price. Look at the beauty of the UX, even though small, is it starts under $47,000 Canadian. So if you're on a tighter budget, that's a substantial difference between the two.
Yeah.
The model that we drove, the luxury model in Canada, is just over $52,000. So once you start getting up to that price, jumping into the NX 250 is really only a couple thousand Canadian extra.
Don't get the
and
NX.
Then you get the 350 NX, and it's only like an extra $4,000.
Listen,
and you get a more substantial vehicle, but it's not a hybrid.
Or just get a fully equipped, loaded RAV4 hybrid. Right?
Yeah, unless he wants
it's got less
Lexus.
The NX has more power. It's got 241.
Yes.
And the RAV4 has 219. Do you really care? I like the extra power, and I think it makes a difference. But honestly, if you're shopping for a UX hybrid, you should cross-shop NX hybrid. Do yourself a favor. That's really what I think.
And the prices are kind of close, especially if you just want to get a base model NX hybrid. I mean, it's a lot to think about for sure. A ton to think about. I don't know what the right...
That's why they're asking, he, she, or it's asking us, because that's our opinion. Andrea, 3, 2, 1, UX hybrid or NX hybrid? What are you going to choose? 3, 2, 1,
NX hybrid.
There you go. So you came to us for our advice. That's our advice.
And if
are you gonna move on that advice? I don't know.
And don't get the 250 NX. Just don't get it. If you want to not get the NX hybrid, then at least get the NX 350. I live in an apartment and washing my car by hand isn't an option. I ended up in the automatic car wash more often than I'd like because I don't trust the brushes at the do-it-yourself car washes. Ooh. My X3 is 2 months old and already has mild swirl marks. Do you guys think I should get a ceramic coating and use the manual car wash to rinse off the dirt with no elbow grease, or continue using the automated wash and get a paint correction every 18 months?
No, don't do that. I would say if you don't have the option to hand wash the car, by the way, today is car wash day. This car, the GTI and the Miata are all getting a hand wash from good old Zork.
Awesome.
And 2 of them are ceramic coated. I think ceramic coating is a great idea, but do not take it to the car wash with the brushes. The ceramic coating is not going to save you from that. And they put on some. Anyway, what I would do is do a little search where you live for a touchless car wash. Okay, so in the winter when I just don't feel like washing this car, I take it, fill it up, and I do a touchless car wash. So that's what you want to do. If you can afford the ceramic coating, they're going to paint correct the car anyway before they ceramic coat it. It's going to give you an extra layer of protection. It's going to help the water bead off and all that kind of stuff. And you've bought a nice car. I really like the X3. So I would do ceramic coating and look for a touchless car wash, or use the wand, just the power washer at the place, but not that brush.
It's too bad about the swirls that you already have.
They can get them out. They can get them out. That can all be fixed. Don't worry about that. A good detail shop that does ceramic coating is going to have to paint correct the car anyway, and then you're going to put the ceramic coating on and take it to a touchless car wash, or use the wand, as you said. Leave that brush and the tricolor foam, and do not let that anywhere near your car.
We are going to ceramic coat the MX-5 as well, because it's good for it, and we're also going to put the protector, because it does chip easily. You know, it sits so low to the ground.
The MX-5, apparently, a lot of people told us when we got the car, it's got very thin paint. And
we have noticed that on the side view mirrors as well.
So we're going to get that done.
Yeah. Love the show.
Because Andrea's never letting go of Ruby.
No.
You know, Ruby's going nowhere.
Ruby's the best.
Actually went to I went to the lumber store. I went to the PO, as I like to call it, Home Depot yesterday. And I bought some lumber because I got to build a shelf in the garage to move some stuff so Ruby can go in the garage for the winter.
In the winter, because we want to keep her happy and safe and cozy in the winter.
And if Ruby's happy, Drea's happy.
Love the show. I know you're not fans of the electronic rust protection. Does a product like Crown void a warranty on a hybrid, like some dealers say?
Didn't you ask this question?
Yeah, somebody asked this before, but maybe this gentleman missed it. He didn't. You definitely saw the electronic
don't
one.
buy that. That's just snake oil.
So you've got it. You do have to be careful. I wouldn't go by what the dealership says. I would go straight to head office, and I would get that on record if they say that you can go ahead with it. Because I would hate to say, oh yeah, no problem, you can do it. You're drilling holes into the vehicle. And if something goes wrong with the hybrid, I think they're going to come back on that to you for sure.
So what I would, listen, if you can do, a lot of the areas where cars rust are on the bottoms of the doors, the inside of the wheel wells, the trunk lid at the back, all that kind of stuff. Rust Check and Crown, in my opinion, are the 2 brands in Canada, and we know rust in Canada, especially Eastern Canada, where cars get beaten up the most. You can go and buy a big can of Rust Check, or 4, and then I did this with my old Tacoma pickup truck, is just go in there and spray it on the bottom edges of the doors, the bottom of the trunk, underneath the hood, the deck lid at the back, all that kind of stuff. And if you want, you can even climb under the car and spray underneath the bottom of the car. So that doesn't get in the doors the way they would if they were going to drill, but it's going to help a lot. And modern cars are much better at because of the galvanizing, and they use a lot of plastics on the bottom of the doors. And the number one thing, Andrea, is you've got to clean your car. You've got to do what the last person does and go to that power washing place. Don't use the brush, just power wash. Get all the salt off the inside of the wheel wells and spray it down regularly.
And if you go on different forums, some people are saying that these newer vehicles are really good and they find that it's actually a waste of money. Others would disagree and say, look, I live in Quebec. There's a ton of snow. There's a ton of salt on the road.
Is crazy.
And it's killer and they want to get it done. But I wouldn't go with this unless you know for sure it's not going to void the warranty.
One thing I would suggest is it depends how long you're going to keep the car.
Yeah.
If you're only going to keep the car for 4 or 5 years, do my approach. Just spray it underneath, keep the car clean, get rid of the car, move on. If you're a buy and hold and this is going to be my ride for the rest of my days, then you might want to go with the way they do, because I have friends who live in Toronto and their cars are like 15 years old and they look brand new because they go to rust check every year.
And the thing about the Toyota Tacoma that we had, we bought it used and it already had rust. So it wasn't in,
It had rust.
it was just okay. And then something was leaking and water.
You know the problem with
it definitely had problems.
The interesting thing is like, oh, buy a Toyota.
Yeah.
Toyotas are great. I've owned 2 Toyotas and both of them were maintenance heavy.
Yeah.
I had a Toyota Celica. North of the border, a Celica, and it needed stuff done to it. And then this Tacoma, the doors leaked, the
and there
air
was like
conditioning
a
blower
stinky smell
leaked.
in there.
The guy who bought it loved it though.
Well, we don't talk to him, but he loved it when he bought it, the day he bought it. Hi, Andrea and Zach, long time following fan here. I recently purchased a 2024 Prius XLE. I saw the review you did on the limited trim model. My question is, do you think more manufacturers in the near future will be swapping their present vehicle non-hybrid models to hybrids like Toyota's done with the 2024 Camry and RAV4? Thank you for all you do. I think that things are changing quickly with manufacturers, and hybrids have become super popular, which is why Toyota can't keep up with the demand of them, and they have decided to move strictly to hybrids for some of their models. You even see it with the Land Cruiser. It wasn't even offered with a gas model. But some manufacturers are really behind, like Nissan and Subaru.
Excuse me.
And hopefully, they will move in that direction, but I think it's still a long path for them.
Who would want to buy a Toyota hybrid? That's such old technology. Who would want a Prius? This is what Elon Musk would say. And you know what? Toyota's having the last laugh. They can't make enough hybrids.
Crazy.
And EV sales are slowing down. They're still growing, but not at the rate that the manufacturers had banked on to make a return on their investment. So brands like even Volkswagen now is considering bringing hybrids to the North American market. They were all in on EVs like the ID4 and the ID7 and other vehicles. They're rethinking it. Ford Motor Company has said they're going to have a hybrid in every model by 2030.
And they actually have hybrids, not just plug-in hybrids like Volkswagen is
but
thinking.
Volkswagen has hybrid technology. They used to sell a Jetta hybrid here. Volvo has backed away from their all EV by 2030, and they're sticking. They have some really good plug-in hybrids.
Yeah.
So brand by brand by brand, it changes week to week. I think hybrids, it makes so much sense. Instead of making people go from what they've driven their whole life to a whole new technology, work them into it. Get them in a hybrid, then a plug-in, then an EV. It's like, that's really
makes sense.
Makes sense.
People gave Toyota a really hard time about it all, but they've got the last laugh. As for Volkswagen and hybrids, I did speak to some top executives at Volkswagen, and I don't think hybrids are coming anytime soon. Maybe a plug-in hybrid.
The plug-in hybrid might be coming in Tiguan. We'll have to wait and see.
Maybe. They won't confirm that. I've asked about that too. A bit late for QC&C. Seems I can never find the post.
Well, you got in this time. Andrea picked
it.
it.
But after watching your reviews on the Elantra hybrid and the Camry, for the price, which would make the most sense? A top-of-the-line Elantra hybrid or a lower trim Camry? Well, in Canada, there's only one trim of the Elantra hybrid, and it's just over $33,000, and the Camry is just over $37,000 for that base SE model. Some differences between the two is that the Camry base model offers a power driver seat. The Elantra is just manual front seats, no offering. It also gets a tire repair kit. No temporary spare tire, where the Camry has a temporary spare tire.
Okay, so what's the spread you said? It's like $3,000 more?
Yeah, just $3,000.
$3,000 more. You're getting a class size bigger. You're getting more power. You're getting a car that is going to have way better resale value.
Yeah.
A car that is proven technology. The most reliable car that's made in North America is the Camry Hybrid. And you're getting a brand new car with the latest technology. So if you're, and the other nice thing is, if you go and watch our review again, and I'm sure you've watched it, is that it comes with a load of standard equipment. It's actually nicely equipped. And unlike the United States, where you have an even cheaper LE model, in Canada we have SE as our base model. So you get a lot of car for the money. And so that spread in price, initially you're like, do I really want to spend that money? But I call it dollars in, dollars out. So you're going to spend 37 G's, you're going to get a Camry, and then when you go to sell it or trade it in, that price is it's money in the bank.
I think that the Elantra Hybrid does offer a lot of value for the price. You've got dual 10.25-inch screens in that model. I actually think it handles really well
drove
too.
really well,
I
yeah.
really like it. I just don't like the exterior design of the Elantra. It's a little bit too sharp looking for me. It's not my style. So I would go for the Camry for, $3,000 Canadian more. But it's up to you to decide. I don't know what your budget is. In the end, you'll definitely get more money back when you go and sell the Camry. There is no doubt about that.
Absolutely, Andrea. So that's why you came. You asked for our advice. Are you going to move on that advice? Do people follow up and say, I took your advice and I did this or that?
Yeah, some people do.
Okay,
Yeah,
good. All
they
right.
do.
We're all out of time, Andrea.
We're all out of time. Thanks for watching. If you want to get a question in, follow along on Instagram at motormouth_Andrea. Every Sunday morning, I put a post out on Instagram asking for questions. Once we gather them, the post is deleted and we start the show. Thanks for watching.
Talk to you then.